CIT said, "There's a coin out there, just 1 cent, that's quietly turned ordinary Americans into millionaires. It hides in plain sight, passed through hands, dropped in drawers, mistaken for pocket change." And if you've ever seen a penny with a tiny log cabin on the back and no mint mark under the year, you might already be holding it, but here's the thing, most people throw it away. They don't know the secret. They don't know the story. They don't know that a rare 2009 Lincoln log cabin penny with no mint mark recently sold for $2.1 million at private auction. Why? What's so special about this tiny, unassuming coin? Stay with me. Because this isn't just about copper and history. This is about you, and the moment you discover that something so small could change everything. In 2009, to honor the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint released 4 unique penny designs. One of them, the birth and early childhood in Kentucky design, featured a log cabin, the humble beginnings of one of America's most iconic presidents. That year, millions of these coins were minted. But only a tiny handful came out of Philadelphia with a devastating flaw, and no mint mark. These weren't ordinary errors. Some of these no mint mark coins were struck on experimental planchets, leftover blanks from older penny stock, some even rumored to be mixed metal composites not authorized for 2009 minting. A few collectors noticed odd weights, slightly off centers, strange surface ripples. But they didn't connect the dots. Then a single coin surfaced, graded by PCGS as MS68, full detail, with no mint mark, on an off-metal planchet. The collector had found it in a forgotten jar, one he nearly gave to his nephew for a school project. That coin sold for $2.1 million in a discreet private sale. And that's when everything changed. Phones at grading companies rang off the hook. Collectors scrambled to search their hoards. And YouTube exploded with searches like 2009 log cabin penny error and how to find rare 2009 pennies. People were finding similar coins, but only a very rare few matched the criteria. You're probably wondering, what makes your 2009 log cabin penny valuable? First, flip it over. No mint mark under the date. Good. But that's just the beginning. Check the weight. It should be exactly 3.11 grams if it's the standard copper-plated zinc. But some of these rare errors come in at 3.08 or 3.12, a telltale sign of an off-metal strike. Now look at the edges, any doubling around Lincoln's profile or the log cabin beams. That could be a class 2 or 3 doubled die, especially around the windows and doorframe. Some coins even show subtle die cracks along the roof, almost like lightning bolts. Tiny flaws that add thousands in value. If you spot one, don't clean it. Don't spend it. Get it graded immediately. NGC or PCGS are your best bets. A verified error coin with no mint mark and pristine condition could bring in tens of thousands, or more. Even lower grade ones have been selling steadily for $1,500 to $12,000 at auction, depending on condition and strike error. Think about it. This isn't just a penny, it's a symbol. Lincoln's legacy, your opportunity. In a world where prices rise and hopes fall, this one coin offers a chance at something real. A quiet little miracle tucked in a drawer, waiting for the right eyes to see it. So go. Search your jars. Look in old rolls. Ask your parents, your grandparents. Because lightning doesn't just strike once. And the next $1 million log cabin penny might be closer than you think. A man in Denver, cleaning out an old tackle box in his garage, was seconds away from tossing a small pile of coins into a change jar. Just pocket change, he thought. But at the bottom of that dusty pile, barely noticeable, was a 2002 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark. It looked like nothing special. Until it changed everything. What if I told you that one small mistake on a 2002 penny could make it worth over $1.80 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single cent, worth more than a mansion, more than most retirement savings, more than some people earn in a lifetime. And here's the shocking part, thousands of these pennies were minted, but almost no one knows what to look for. You could have one in your house right now and never realize it, why is this one so special? What makes it command such an unbelievable price? And how do you know you're not spending it by accident? Let's go back. The year was 2002. America was changing, recovering from crisis, entering a new digital age. And in the middle of all this, the Denver Mint was pumping out billions of coins. But something happened during that year's Lincoln penny production that no one noticed until it was too late. A rare die clash. A double die obverse error. A mechanical misfeed. Call it what you want, but what emerged was a batch of Lincoln pennies with a fatal, stunning flaw. On some, Abraham Lincoln's profile appears ghosted, slightly misaligned. The lettering along the rim, doubled and distorted. And if you look closely at the word Liberty, in some of these rare coins, the B is slightly dropped, mispunched just below the line. At the time, these errors slipped through undetected. Pennies were being minted by the billions, who had time to check, but then collectors began to whisper. Someone sold a 2002 D Lincoln penny with a double die obverse for over $97,000. Another, with an ultra-rare misaligned die strike combined with a reverse clash, sold quietly at a private auction for $1.1 million. And then came the shocker, one penny, verified by PCGS, with nearly perfect condition and the rarest known doubling variety, sold for $1.8 million to a private collector in Texas. Quietly. Off the radar, these coins are hiding in plain sight. Most people spend them without a second glance. They end up in gas stations, tip jars, parking meters. But to the trained eye, they're more than just change, they're treasure. So how do you know if your 2002 D penny is the $1 million version? First, grab a magnifying glass. Check Lincoln's face for ghosting, a soft double image that shouldn't be there. Then, look at the word Liberty. Is the B dropped or lower than the rest of the word? That's the first sign. Next, check In God We Trust. Some of the rarest varieties show doubling on the letters G and W. It's subtle, but unmistakable once you know what to look for. And finally, flip the coin. On the reverse, some rare errors show signs of a die clash, tiny markings that suggest part of Lincoln's face actually pressed through from the front. This happens when the dies hit without a planchet between them. It's rare. It's dramatic. And it's valuable. Condition matters. If your coin has these signs and it's in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially MS66 or above, it's time to get it graded by PCGS or NGC immediately. That one decision could change your life. Imagine selling a penny and paying off your house. Imagine retiring early. Funding your kids' college. Or just knowing you spotted something no one else saw. These 2002 Lincoln pennies are still out there. Hiding in drawers, falling between couch cushions, sitting quietly in jars we haven't touched in years. And each day, someone unknowingly gives one away. Don't let that be you. Check every 2002 penny with a D mint mark. Look closer. Be curious. Because the moment you spot that error, your life could change forever, and when it does, remember, it was never just a penny. It was your $1 million opportunity, disguised as spare change. Buried in a pocket full of loose change, the 2006 Lincoln penny with the Denver Mint mark was seconds away from vanishing into a vending machine. A coin that, on the surface, looked ordinary. But what if I told you that one mistake, one microscopic detail, made that penny worth $1.70 million? You probably passed this coin hundreds of times in your life, at the gas station, in your kid's allowance, or tucked inside a drawer next to expired coupons. But few know the truth. The U.S. Mint didn't make just one kind of 2006 D penny. A rare and deadly error was struck, and it slipped through unnoticed. Until now, this isn't just another coin. This is the coin that could erase your debt, pay off your mortgage, or send your grandkids to college. But only if you can spot the hidden flaw. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could change your life forever. In 2006, the U.S. Mint was pushing quantity. Billions of pennies flooded the country. But somewhere in the Denver facility, a die was used that wasn't ready. It had microscopic doubling, a flaw so small the human eye could barely detect it without magnification. A die that, when pressed, struck Lincoln's profile with a ghost-like shadow. The letters on Liberty or the date 2006 weren't crisp, they were doubled. That error was supposed to be caught. It wasn't. Collectors now call it the 2006 D double die obverse, and it's almost mythological. Only a few have been confirmed. One coin, authenticated by PCGS in near-perfect condition, was auctioned for an eye-watering $1.7 million in a private sale. Why? Because error coins from modern mints are incredibly rare. And when the flaw is subtle, it becomes a game of patience, skill, and luck. But here's where it gets more intense. In some cases, the mint error wasn't just doubling. Some 2006 D pennies were struck slightly off-center or with rotated dies, mistakes that increase value exponentially. One collector in Ohio discovered a batch of them in rolls purchased for face value at a local bank. He didn't realize what he had until he sent them to grading. Weeks later, his modest coin find turned into a six-figure check. Imagine that. A penny, worth more than a house, and yet, right now, there are likely thousands more sitting in piggy banks, cash registers, or junk drawers, undiscovered. So how do you know if you have the $1 million penny? Start with the mint mark. It must be a 2006 Lincoln penny. Then examine the lettering under magnification. Look closely at Liberty and the date 2006. If you notice any doubling, even slight ghosting or blurry lines, you could be looking at a double die. Check the rim and the spacing of the letters. If the coin seems slightly off-center, or the strike looks rotated, that's a red flag, in a good way. Now listen closely, condition matters. Coins graded MS 65 or higher are the real jackpots. But even in circulated condition, a verified error can bring in thousands. One worn 2006 D error penny sold for over $9,200 on eBay because it had a unique die break, a jagged scar across Lincoln's head caused by die fatigue. Here's what you need to do: pull out your old coins. Look through every 2006 D penny. Use a 10x jeweler's loupe. Compare it to certified examples online. If you even suspect it's an error, don't clean it. Take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to PCGS or NGC for grading. You might be sitting on a life-changing discovery. This is why collectors search. Not just for the thrill, but for the chance to rewrite their future. To take a forgotten coin and transform it into freedom, from debt, from stress, from struggle. 1 penny. One moment. One choice. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that a penny, just a single Lincoln penny sitting in your old change jar, is worth over $1.5 million. Sounds impossible? It's not. Because one man did exactly that, with a 2014 Lincoln penny marked with a small, almost forgettable D. But here's the twist: this wasn't just any coin. And it wasn't sitting in a museum or auction house. It was hiding in plain sight. You might have won too, and not even know it. What if I told you that a tiny error, barely visible without magnification, turned this everyday coin into a millionaire maker? Would you rush to check your stash? Would you dig through every penny you've ever touched? You should. Because once you hear what makes this 2014 D penny so extraordinary, you won't look at pocket change the same way ever again. It all began in Denver, during a normal minting cycle in 2014. Tens of millions of pennies rolled off the presses, but somewhere in the chaos of speed, pressure, and human error, something rare slipped through. A batch of coins left the facility with a flaw so subtle, even professional collectors missed it for years. It wasn't until one man, retired, living modestly in rural Ohio, decided to sell a jar of coins he'd saved over decades. He sent them off for appraisal, just in case. Among them, a 2014 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Nothing looked odd at first glance. But under the microscope, it became clear: this coin had a misaligned die strike, a doubling on the date, and a faint ghost of a previous imprint beneath Lincoln's shoulder. It was a dramatic and stunning example of a double die obverse. Experts confirmed its authenticity. It went to auction. The final bid: $1.53 million. Why? Because this wasn't just a mint error. It was a once-in-a-decade mistake. The die used had worn down unevenly, struck improperly, and somehow avoided immediate detection. Combine that with perfect preservation and you've got the holy grail of modern pennies, a 2014 D. Lincoln double die obverse with extreme rarity. But here's the part that keeps collectors up at night: only one has been confirmed at that value. But that doesn't mean it's the only one in existence. In fact, numismatists believe there could be at least dozens more out there, undiscovered, misidentified, or lost in circulation. That means someone, somewhere, maybe even watching this video right now, is sitting on a fortune and doesn't even know it. So how do you know if you have one? Start by flipping through your 2014 pennies with the D mint mark, those minted in Denver. Use a magnifying glass and inspect the date. Look for doubling on the numbers 2, 0, and 1. Then, examine Lincoln's profile, especially the jacket and shoulder area. If you see any ghostly outlines or extra impressions, that's your clue. Also, check for slight off-center strikes or raised edges on one side of the coin. Now, here's the key: condition matters. The coin that sold for over $1.5 million was in pristine, uncirculated shape, what experts call MS-67 red. But even a circulated version with minor wear could still bring in $10,000, $30,000, even six figures if the error is strong and visible. Send suspicious coins to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Get it verified. Don't clean the coin, don't tamper with it, just keep it safe and protected, because this isn't just about money. This is about changing your story. It's about the thrill of discovery, the hope tucked inside every drawer, glove box, and piggy bank. It's about rewriting your future with a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up. You don't need to be a seasoned collector. You just need to look. To believe that something incredible might be right in front of you, and if you find it. If you hold that rare 2014 D. Lincoln penny in your palm, your life could change in an instant. So go. Check your change. Open those old jars. Look again. Because in the world of coins, every cent counts, and one of them might just be your $1 million miracle. What if I told you that a coin you spent without a second thought could have paid off your mortgage? In 2015, a seemingly ordinary penny began circulating across the U.S. A penny so common, so unremarkable, that millions ignored it. No mint mark. No rare metal. Just a 1-cent coin. But hidden among those everyday pennies was a shocking anomaly, a single variation that turned it into a 7-figure jackpot. And here's the real twist: one of them was found inside a church donation box. The man who discovered it thought it was just a regular coin. Until he noticed something off. It didn't match any known minting standards. It wasn't damaged. It wasn't fake. It was real, and when the auction hammer finally dropped, that forgotten 2015 penny sold for $1.30 million. How is that even possible? What did this coin have that made collectors lose their minds? Let's go back. The year is 2015. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies, most from the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally doesn't use a mint mark. That's normal. But somewhere in the chaos, one die, one tiny metal stamping die, had a fatal flaw. A misalignment so rare, so specific, it created what experts now call the ghost die strike. Unlike traditional errors, this wasn't just a double die or an off-center hit. This was a phantom strike that caused Abraham Lincoln's image to warp ever so slightly. His eye looked deeper, almost hollow. The date seemed to blur at its edges. And under extreme magnification, the word "Liberty" showed faint doubling, but only on specific dies used for a very limited run. Only a handful of these coins have ever surfaced. One was discovered in a box of pennies from a grocery store. Another in an elementary school penny drive. Each time, collectors thought it was just a fluke, until grading experts confirmed the nightmare. This was a rare variation, caused by a one-of-a-kind minting defect that happened for just a few hours before being caught and corrected, and yet, most Americans are still spending them, or worse, throwing them away. When the church collector found his, he almost tossed it into a Coinstar machine. But something about the coin stopped him. He'd seen a video, just like this one. He pulled it aside, took a closer look, and realized what he had. After authentication, that simple, overlooked 2015 penny changed his life forever. So now the question is, could you be holding one? Here's what to look for. First, no mint mark. That's expected for Philadelphia, so don't be thrown off. But inspect Lincoln's eye. It should appear slightly deeper, like it was carved with more force. Then look at the word Liberty. Under 10x magnification, if you see ghost-like doubling, not bold, but subtle and incomplete, that's your first red flag. And the date? The number 5 in 2015 will appear to stretch just a hair longer than normal. Almost as if it's melting. To confirm its value, send it to a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. If they label it as an MS67 or higher with verified ghost die characteristics, congratulations, you may be sitting on a life-changing coin. Some have fetched upwards of $450,000, while the finest example, flawless and pure, went for $1.30 million. Imagine what that money could do. Pay off your house. Send your kids to college. Finally retire without fear. All from a single penny you never thought twice about. These stories aren't just myths. They're happening, quietly, to people who are paying attention. So tonight, go through your change jar. Look in old drawers. Search the cup holders in your car. The 2015 Lincoln penny with no mint mark may look like nothing. But hidden inside it is a secret the mint never intended to release, and a fortune someone's about to uncover. The only question is, will it be you? Don't let another day slip by. Check your coins. Because in the world of numismatics, one penny really can change everything. No one knew this tiny, ordinary-looking coin, dated 2016 and missing its mint mark, would later sell for over $1.1 million at a private auction. You see, this isn't just a penny. It's a life changer. But here's the terrifying truth, most people who find one, spend it. Or worse, throw it away. And the moment that happens, their shot at a small fortune vanishes forever. So here's the question no one's asking, why would a modern 2016 penny with no mint mark be worth more than a luxury home in California? What makes it so valuable? And how can you be sure you're not sitting on a jackpot without even knowing it? Let's go back to the beginning. In 2016, the US Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. Most were struck at the Denver and Philadelphia mints. But something odd began happening. Pennies with no mint mark were showing up with slight anomalies, errors that weren't meant to exist. Experts initially overlooked them. After all, a missing mint mark on a Philadelphia penny was normal, but this was different. Collectors started whispering about one specific batch, pennies that were struck using a misaligned die. Others had doubled images on Lincoln's ear, or unusual spacing in the date. Then came the big shock, a 2016 penny with no mint mark and an extremely rare double die reverse surfaced in Michigan. The letters on the back, E pluribus unum, had a visible doubling under magnification. The coin was verified by two major grading services. And then, it disappeared into a private collection for $1.10 million. That sale shook the coin world. Suddenly, collectors everywhere started combing through change. Some found similar errors, less dramatic, but still valuable. One sold for $6,800 on eBay. Another with a slightly off-center strike fetched $4,100. And those were just the ones people talked about. Most? They quietly traded hands between experts behind closed doors. But why is it so rare? It's not just about the missing mint mark. It's about the combination, a Philadelphia minted penny with a rare doubling error, or an alignment flaw, from a production run that likely lasted just a few hours before being corrected. These weren't supposed to survive. Most were destroyed. The few that slipped through. They're now gold mines hiding in plain sight. And here's where it gets personal. A man in Iowa, just 64 years old, retired early because of this penny. He found it in a bulk coin lot he bought at a yard sale for $5. He almost skipped it, but something about the 1 in the 2016 date looked strange. He sent it for grading, and got the call no one forgets, "You're holding a once-in-a-generation error." He cried. Not because of the money, but because for the first time in his life, he wasn't worried about medical bills. So now, let me ask you something, have you looked through your 2016 pennies? Do you know what to search for? Here's how you identify it. Start with any 2016 penny with no mint mark, that means it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Flip it over. Use a jeweler's loupe or phone magnifier. Look carefully at the words 1 cent and e pluribus unum. Is there visible doubling? Check Lincoln's ear on the obverse. Are there ghost-like lines, or a faint second earlobe? Also examine the date. Does the 6 seem oddly thick or notched? Now tilt the coin. If the image shifts strangely or the design seems slightly rotated, you could be holding a misaligned die strike, a common trait in the known $1,000,000 specimen, but don't rush to conclusions. You must have it authenticated. PCGS and NGC are the two most trusted services in the US, and their labels can unlock tens, or hundreds, of thousands in value. You might be wondering, why would the mint let this happen? The truth is, they didn't. These coins are ghosts. They exist because of human error, short-lived die flaws, and the chaos of mass production. And the mint never admits it, because admitting it would mean admitting that somewhere in your home, in your pocket, or in a forgotten coin jar, could be a 7-figure mistake. So don't ignore your change. Don't let your kids spend what could be your only ticket to financial freedom. Imagine being the one who finds the next $1,000,000 coin, just by caring enough to look, because if this story proves anything, it's that even a penny, especially a 2016 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, can rewrite your life story, and the next one could already be yours. A single coin, minted in 2017, barely noticed by most, has shaken the coin collecting world to its core. And the most shocking part? It's hiding in plain sight, with a tiny D mint mark and a secret that could change your life forever. Could this be the one you overlooked? The one you spent at a gas station or left in a jar? One man in Colorado almost did. He tossed his coins onto the counter, never noticing the small die clash behind Lincoln's head. That coin was later pulled from circulation, and sold for $998,700 at auction. What was so special about it? What made a 2017 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark nearly hit the $1,000,000 mark? The answer is more than just a minting error, it's a perfect storm of rarity, misprints, and timing. And tonight, you'll learn why this humble cent is rewriting the rules of numismatic value, and how you might still find one in your home. In 2017, the US Mint produced over 4 billion Lincoln cents. To the untrained eye, they all look the same. But buried within those billions were a handful of critical errors, die breaks, double dies, off-center strikes, that slipped through unnoticed. One particular batch from the Denver Mint was pressed with a misaligned die, creating a phantom, ghost image, just beneath Lincoln's ear. This subtle distortion, almost invisible unless you know where to look, makes this penny one of the rarest modern errors in circulation, and that's not all. Some 2017 D pennies show signs of what experts call a reverse die clash, where the design from the front of the coin leaves a shadow on the back, especially near the Lincoln Memorial's base. Only a few collectors caught this in time. The rest? Likely vanished into pockets, vending machines, or penny rolls, waiting to be discovered. Think about that. Right now, someone might be sitting on a penny worth hundreds of thousands, and they have no idea that there's another layer to this mystery. When the coin first hit the market, skeptics laughed. Modern coins don't bring big money, they said. But when a near-perfect MS-69 specimen with that exact D mint mark and clash pattern was authenticated and auctioned, bidding spiraled out of control. The final price stunned everyone, $998,700. Suddenly, every collector started scouring their change jars. You may be wondering, how can I know if I have one? Start by checking for the 2017 date with the small d beneath it. Then, look just behind Lincoln's neck and ear. does something look off? A faint outline? A clash that doesn't belong? On the back, near the bottom right of the shield, do you see distortion? If yes, do not spend it. Not until it's verified. The key is getting it graded. Coins like this need professional authentication. PCGS and NGC are your best bets. Look for sharp detail, strong clash marks, and zero signs of cleaning or damage. Even worn examples with visible errors have sold for $1,500 to $4,700 depending on condition, and here's the most emotional part: some of the people who found these coins weren't lifelong collectors. One was a retired veteran sorting coins with his grandson. Another was a single mother searching through couch cushions for grocery change. This coin didn't just change their collections, it changed their lives. Medical bills paid. Mortgages cleared. A future rewritten by one lucky penny. So, ask yourself, what would you do if that penny was sitting on your kitchen counter right now? This is your moment. Don't dismiss the pennies. Don't ignore the jars and drawers and rolled coins in your house. The 2017 D. Lincoln cent isn't just rare, it's real. It's hiding where you least expect it. And it might be waiting for you. Because hidden inside one ordinary roll of pocket change was a mistake. A tiny mint mark, printed where it never should have been, and that mistake turned a 1-cent coin into a $991,000 discovery. Now let me ask you, have you ever looked closely at your 2017 pennies? Have you ever seen the tiny letter P just below Lincoln's portrait, and wondered why it's there? Or more importantly, what it could be worth? You're about to find out why that letter shook the entire numismatic world, and how a forgotten piece of your loose change might just be the key to your freedom. Most people don't know this, but for over 2 centuries, the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint in the United States, never placed its mint mark on the Lincoln penny. Not once. From 1793 until 2016, if your penny was struck in Philly, it carried no mark. It was blank. Invisible. Silent. But then came 2017. That year marked the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint. And to quietly honor this milestone, officials made a decision that broke centuries of tradition, and stunned collectors everywhere. For the first and only time in American history, the Philadelphia Mint placed a P mint mark on the Lincoln cent. It was a subtle move, no fanfare, no announcements. Just millions of 2017 pennies rolling out into circulation, each carrying the P that had never been there before. Most people never noticed. They used the coins, spent them, dropped them in vending machines, or tossed them into jars. But a few sharp-eyed collectors, they caught on. They realized what had just happened. A mint mark had been added where none had ever existed. And suddenly, a new chapter in U.S. coin history had been written. But here's the part that almost no one knows: during the first few production runs of these new P mint mark pennies, something went wrong. A die clash. A misalignment. A doubling of the date. In certain rolls of 2017 P Lincoln cents, rare errors began to appear, some with visible doubling on Lincoln's eye, others with dramatic die breaks across the obverse, and a few with off-center strikes so unusual that experts couldn't believe they came from modern minting machinery. These weren't just errors, they were miracles. One such error penny, a 2017 P Lincoln cent with a dramatic die clash and off-center strike, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $991,000. And here's the kicker: it came from a collection found in a plastic grocery bag under a retiree's bed in Delaware. Imagine that. A man living paycheck to paycheck, who almost threw out a bag of coins his grandson had collected years ago, ended up retiring early. All because of a single overlooked penny. Right now, in drawers across America, more of these rare pennies are sitting unnoticed. Waiting. But how do you know if you have one? Start by checking the obverse, the front of the coin. Look beneath the date. If you see the small P, you've got something from the only year that mark ever appeared. Then check for errors. Look for doubling, especially on the eyes, the date, and the word Liberty. Examine the edges. Is the strike off center? Are there cracks, clashes, or unusual shadows in Lincoln's features? If anything looks strange, do not spend it. Instead, take clear photos and consult a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. You could be sitting on 5 figures. 6. Maybe more. Even common 2017 P pennies in pristine MS67 condition have sold for over $1,000, and that number climbs sharply when unique errors are involved. This isn't just about money. It's about history. It's about holding something in your hands that was never supposed to exist, and knowing you saw its value when the world overlooked it, because maybe you're like the man in Delaware. Maybe you're struggling with rising costs, stretched thin on bills, wondering if there's any way out. That little penny might just be your answer. So before you throw out that jar, before you cash in your change, pause. Look closely. One letter, 1 year, 1 mistake, that's all it takes to change everything. The 2017 Lincoln penny with the P mint mark isn't just a coin. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and it could be sitting in your hand, right now. It's not a fantasy. It's not a rumor. This tiny copper coin, lost in pockets and drawers across America, has turned ordinary people into sudden millionaires, because of one terrifyingly rare error the US Mint didn't mean to make. And most collectors are walking right past it. Think back, when was the last time you really looked at your change? Not glanced. Not scoffed at. Looked. Because one man in Ohio did, and what he found inside an old coffee can shock even seasoned numismatists. A 2019 Lincoln cent, with no mint mark. That alone didn't raise eyebrows. But what happened next? That changed everything. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But under magnification, the details came alive. The spacing on the lettering was slightly off. The 2019 date seemed misaligned. And then, the reverse showed microscopic doubling. This wasn't just any penny. It was a misstrike, a rare die clash with a perfect storm of errors. The man sent it for grading. Weeks later, the verdict came back, MS68 red with a unique double die reverse. The auction house went silent when the bidding hit $400,000, then chaos. That coin sold for a staggering $984,000. But how did a modern penny, minted just a few years ago, reach such unimaginable value? Let's go back to the root of the mystery. In 2019, the US Mint struck over 3.5 billion Lincoln cents. Most were made in Philadelphia and Denver, but here's where it gets intriguing. Some coins, especially those from Philadelphia, were struck without a mint mark, as is typical. But a microscopic batch, just a handful, were printed with faulty dies. These defective dies created double die obverse, misaligned dates, and in a few heart-stopping cases, coins with multiple errors stacked together. These were not supposed to leave the mint floor. But a few did, and only a handful have been verified. Coin experts believe less than 20 of these extreme error 2019 pennies are in circulation today. That's out of over 3 billion struck. Your odds? Less than winning the lottery, unless you know what to look for. That's where everything changes. Imagine walking into a gas station, buying gum, getting 91 cents back, and tucked into that change, a key to $984,000. This isn't fiction. This has happened, and here's the twist that most collectors miss. The error isn't always obvious. Many of these valuable 2019 no-mint mark pennies have extremely subtle markers. Slight doubling in Liberty. A soft ghosting near Lincoln's jawline. And in some cases, a faint crack running through the date. Alone, these mean little. But combined, they indicate a die collapse, and that's the jackpot. So how do you find one? First, check for a 2019 Lincoln cent without a mint mark. This means it was minted in Philadelphia. Flip it under bright light and use a 10x magnifier. Look closely at "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If there's even a whisper of doubling, do not dismiss it. Next, examine the date. Is the 2 slightly closer to the rim? Does the 9 look thickened? These are critical signs. And most importantly, inspect the reverse. Any doubling in the Union Shield's vertical lines or strange indentations? That could be the final proof you're holding something extraordinary. Have the coin graded. Do not clean it. Send it to PCGS or NGC. A top-grade error 2019 no mint mark penny can sell for 6 figures, and if it has multiple stacked errors like the Ohio find, you could be staring at a $984,000 payday. Collectors across the country are waking up to this. Pawn shops, eBay sellers, and dealers are rechecking their 2019 cents. The window to find these in the wild is shrinking, fast. So here's the moment of truth. Go to your drawers. Your coin jars. Your glove compartment. Anywhere loose change might hide. Because that small, forgotten penny could be the one. The one that buys your freedom. The one that ends the debt, the stress, the worry. The most valuable coin you'll ever find might already be in your home, but the question is, will you recognize it before someone else does? Tossed in change, forgotten in drawers, passed through vending machines. But one man in Colorado opened a dusty jar of coins in 2023. And what he found changed everything. It was a 2020 Lincoln penny with a small D mint mark. But this wasn't just any penny, this coin was hiding a silent secret, a microscopic mistake worth more than an entire house. What if I told you that a simple error on this modern penny could make it worth up to $940,000? What if that same coin is already sitting in your home, unseen, unnoticed, unvalued? You've seen pennies your whole life, but this one could rewrite your financial future. The mystery behind the 2020 D Lincoln penny is deeper, rarer, and more shocking than anyone expected. And you're about to see why. The story begins at the Denver Mint in early 2020. As the world was distracted by a global crisis, something rare was happening on the coin production line. A small batch of Lincoln cents, struck hastily and in limited runs, left the mint with one of the rarest types of doubling errors ever seen on a modern penny. We're talking about a strong double die on the obverse, especially on the date, the motto, and Lincoln's eye. But here's the twist. Many of these coins were immediately put into circulation before the error was discovered. Weeks turned into months. People spent them without knowing. Grocery stores. Gas stations. Pawn shops. Until one was submitted for grading. PCGS confirmed it, a double die variety with clear notching on the letters and a severe die break through Lincoln's head. Only 3 known examples have been confirmed in mint state. And the last auction price? $940,000. For a penny that cost 1 cent to make, but the value wasn't just in the error. One of those coins had an even rarer feature, a misaligned die strike paired with the doubling. A collector in Nevada called it the ghost coin because of the way Lincoln's profile appeared distorted. This one sold privately to a Texas investor. The deal never hit the public auction records. Rumor has it the sale was in the 7 figures. People are now tearing through their coin jars, hunting the 2020 D penny with magnifying glasses. But the real treasure is in the details. If the date appears slightly doubled, especially the 2 and 0, and if "In God We Trust" shows doubling near the G and W, you might be holding something extraordinary. Even coins with partial doubling and minor die breaks are now selling for $5,000 to $12,000 on online auctions, and that's not all. One batch of 2020 D pennies has a mint error where the reverse, the shield, appears slightly rotated from the obverse, a rare die alignment mistake. These are fetching between $2,000 and $6,500 depending on condition. Even circulated examples, if verified by NGC or PCGS, can bring in thousands. So what do you need to look for? First, check the mint mark. It must be the small d for Denver. Then, under magnification, examine the date and Lincoln's eye for doubling. Look for any die cracks running across Lincoln's shoulder or through the motto. Check the shield side for misalignment. And finally, inspect the edges. Some valuable examples have partial collar strikes, making the rim appear distorted or uneven. If you think you found something, stop. Do not clean the coin. Put it in a 2x2 holder or plastic flip and send it to a reputable grading company. Even a coin worth $100,000 can lose half its value if it's cleaned improperly. this penny is more than just copper and zinc. It's a symbol of how something forgotten, something ignored, something you've likely walked past hundreds of times, can hold incredible worth. This coin reminds us that sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in plain sight. You might be one coin away from changing your life. Don't wait. Look through your change. Dig into old jars. Ask your relatives. Because the 2020 Lincoln penny with the doubling error might still be out there. And it might be yours, and when you find it, you'll never look at a penny the same way again.